All right, everybody, welcome to one more session on Azure Administrator. Let us look into the agenda that we are going to discuss in this particular session. In this particular session, we'll discuss some very important topics that are related to virtual machines. We'll understand something called as a VM image. We'll understand the importance of VM image, how to create a VM image, and we will see a feature called as cloud init. What is the use of this feature cloud init? And then we have something very important which is called as a run command. And then we will see a web app service on Azure. Okay, this is what the agenda for today. And now, first of all, let us try and understand what is a image. Now, every time when we created a virtual machine, we choose one option to select the operating system, right? Whether it is a Windows based operating system or a Unix based operating system, whatever it is, we choose some operating system. Now, that is nothing but we call it as a OS image. Now, let me show you that on the Azure console. Okay, let's say create a resource. Let's say I want to create a virtual machine. Okay, when I choose here, you see there's something called as image. And image, we can choose either a Windows server, Ubuntu server, or any other server which is listed here. And I can also go to see all images. There you can see all the images that are there. Okay. And now if you see on the left, there are different types of images. One is called as my images. If I go into my images, I don't have any images. So, but I can create my own images. Okay. Now, if you see, there are multiple types. One is called as my images. One is called as shared images. Community and direct shared images are there in preview. Okay. Now, if you look here in the marketplace, if I go all, you see, okay, Kali Linux. Now, this is there in a marketplace. That means there is a vendor who has installed some OS and Kali Linux on this particular virtual machine. Okay, or else if you see, if I take this image, what happens? I'll get Windows. I'll also get Microsoft 365 apps with this. Okay, let's say SQL Server 2019. Now, if I select this image, I will get Windows Server also, and on that SQL Server database will also be there. Okay, so there is no need for me to install SQL Server separately. So this is there in the marketplace. Some of them are free, some of them are charged. Okay, now let's say you see here, this is a free. Whatever that I'm mentioning free, this image is free, and the other things, the image is also charged. Now if I select this SQL Server 2009 on Windows Server 2019, okay, there will be a cost for the virtual machine and there will be a cost for the image as well. Okay, because this image is uh, published on AWS marketplace by vendors. Okay, and there are, let's say, this Visual Studio 2022. Okay, if I select this image, if I select here, you'll see a Windows server will come, and Visual Studio 2020 will also be there on this particular server that is going to be created. Okay, that is about marketplace. We can see recently created. Okay, we can see private products, all other options here. Now there is also images under categories. Let's say analytics. Okay, now you see this virtual machine has some data science related software in that. Okay, and you see here SQL Server 2019 reporting services. Okay, so there are basically, to summarize, no? Okay, a image we can simply divide into two parts. One is base software. Now that base software could be any of the image that we select. It could be Ubuntu, Windows, etc. Plus some software. We saw softwares like Visual Studio 2022, etc., etc., right? So we can, let's say, my company has a software, let's say Level Up Apps. Okay. Now I will create some virtual machine. Okay. On top of that, I will install this software and I can name this image as Level Up Image. Now, what happens next time when you have to select, create a virtual machine, and when you have to select the image, you can select this Level Up Image. What happens if you select this Level Up Image? This base software will also be there in this, and this Level Up apps will also be there in this. So no need for you to install this Level Up software every time. Okay, that is the use of a image. Now what we'll do one hands-on exercise so that we can understand this better. So I will create a virtual machine. Okay, I'll create a virtual machine, and in this virtual machine I will, when I'm creating this virtual machine, I will choose the OS as, or you can say I will choose the image as Ubuntu. Okay, once it is created, I will log into the virtual machine. Okay, and install web server. Okay, and make changes to the HTML code. Okay, once it is done, I will create a image out of the server, and then I will create a new virtual machine with my own image, with my own image. Now once I create that, what I should see, the output should have a web server. Okay, web server with the HTML code changes that I have made. Okay, I will not log into the second virtual machine. Whatever the first virtual machine, whatever changes that we made and created a image out of that, I should see that in the second web server because we are creating this virtual machine from that image. Okay, let us do this hands-on exercise, then it will be very clear for us. So for that, let me first create a virtual machine. Now I am on my Azure portal. Let me go to virtual machines. Okay, in that you see there's an option called as create. Go to Azure virtual machine. I will choose the subscription as pay as you go, and the resource group I will select it as demo resource group. The virtual machine name I'll give it as demo image, and the rest all I will leave it as defaults, and the image I will select as Ubuntu image. Okay, rest all I will leave it as defaults. I will give the username and password. Password I'm choosing my desired password. Okay, I want to make this as web server, right? So I need to enable HTTP port. If it is a secured website, we need to enable HTTPS. Let me select option review and create. Validation failed. What is that missing details? Okay, review and create. Okay, now if you see the validation is passed, select option create. Okay, now the deployment is in progress. This will take about another minute for the deployment to be completed. Now, if you see the deployment is complete, let me go to resource and let me log into this server. To log into this server, I will copy the public IP address, go to a tool called as putty, all right, and give the IP address there, select option open, and then give the username and password. Okay, and the password, whatever password that we have given. All right. Okay, now I logged into this particular server. Let me log in as root user. Okay, now let me make this as a web server. Sudo, first let me update the package. Sudo apt update. All right, now all the packages are getting updated. Okay, now let me install Apache on this. Now, once this is Apache installs on this server, you should be able to see a default web page that is coming up. I'll copy this IP address. Okay, this is done. Let me paste this IP address in a new server and I can see there's a default page. Now let me change the code for this default page, which will be there in the path called as C. Okay, I'll use cat var slash www slash html slash index dot html, enter h, control D, because it is difficult to change the by using VI because it is a very big file. So I'm just changing it so that it is easy for me to put my new code. Okay. Now let me use the same thing and use a VI editor. Enter, insert. I have a website code. Let me use that website code. Okay, let me copy the website code. Okay, this is a HTML file that I have. Let me copy all this. Okay, let me paste it here. Save and exit this file. Now let me put this, refresh the web browser. Now you should be able to see a new web page with the code that I have given. Okay. Now this is the web page that I am getting. So now what I have done till now, I have logged, created a virtual machine, install a web server software and made some changes to the HTML code. Okay. Now I will create a image out of the server that is running, up and running. Okay. Now this is a server, right? It is hosting this website. Now I will create an image out of it. Now how to create an image out of it? You see there's an option called as capture. Okay. To create an image, we have to use this option called as capture. So as soon as I go into on this capture, you can see image. Select this option called as capture. Okay, and it is saying that if I have to capture an image, we need to store that image somewhere, right? Where do I store that image? That is stored in somewhere called as Azure Compute Gallery. Okay, so we can, if there is no compute gallery, we have to create one new one. Okay, so create an image, and I'm saying yes, share it to a gallery as a VM image version. So it is saying automatically delete this virtual machine after creating image. If I select this, the virtual machine will be deleted, but I don't want to do that. Now where I have to store, what is my gallery name? If you don't have one, you can create. Okay, I don't have any gallery, so let me create new gal. Select option, okay. Okay, and then you see there are two options here, generalized and specialized. Now what is the difference between this generalized and specialized? Now if you create this VM as a generalized VM, right? Okay, now whenever you use this VM, you have to give the host name, username, password. You can give your own password. But if you give that as a specialized image, what happens? Everything will record. So for this image, I have given Satish as a username, right? It will take the username also. It will take the password also. Everything it will take. So that is a specialized VM. It will take all the parameters. Okay. Now the target VM image definition I don't have. Let me create a new one. I'll say new image. Okay. Rest all you can leave default and select option. Okay. Now we have to mention the version. Let's say this is the first time I'm creating, right? I'll give it as version 1.0.0. Okay, if you create another image later from the same one, you can give it as 1.0.1. Okay, so if you want to end the life of this image, you can select this. If you want to replicate, we can just select how many replica count you want. Okay, and then select option review and create. First it will select the validation whether this image can be created or not, and then select option create. Now what is happening? Basically you see here it is showing stopping virtual machine. So when you have to create an image, you have to make sure that first of all you have to stop a virtual machine. If your virtual machine is not stopped, it will stop your virtual machine and then it will create a image. Okay, now let's see. The image is getting created. It is saying validation is passed. This will take about 2 or 3 minutes time for the image to be created. You see here it is saying stopping virtual machine. Okay, this will take about few seconds. Let's wait for a few minutes. If I go into this virtual machine now, you see it is in status of stopped. Okay, now let me go into images. Okay, you see there is images here. There is no image yet. It will take few minutes for the image to come up. You can also go to this gallery, Azure Compute Galleries. Select this. Here also we see there is no compute gallery. It will come up. Now we see that the deployment is completed. Now let me go to resource. Now let me actually go to compute galleries. Now you can see there's a new gallery that is created. Okay. Now inside this new gallery, you see there is the image that we have created and the provisioning state is successful. OS type is Linux. Okay, this is a generalized image, etc. Okay, now let me go ahead and create a new virtual machine with this image that we have created. Okay, let me select option virtual machines, select option create Azure virtual machine, and then I will choose the same resource group, and virtual machine name is demo image 2. Okay, and when you come to images here, select option all images. Okay, go to my images. You see there is something called as new image here. Select this image. Okay, now you see this image, new gallery, new image is the one that we created, right? We selected this image, and let me give the username and password. All right, and let me open the ports. Now if we have selected a specialized VM there, all these parameters would also have been automatically chosen by the image itself. Okay, let me select option review and create. Now this virtual machine is creating, it is running the final validation. Okay, select option create. Right, this might take about a minute or two for the virtual machine to be created. Let us wait. Okay, the deployment is in progress now. Now if we see, this virtual machine is created. Let me go copy the IP address of this virtual machine. Now I copied this virtual machine. I did not log into this virtual machine. I did not make I did not make this as a web server. I did not copy or make changes to the HTML, right? So I'm just copying this, going to a web server, web browser, and putting in an IP address there. You see this website which is coming up. So that means when we created an image from a virtual machine that we already created and updated some software, all this software is also coming, whichever is there in that particular image. Now, if I create 100 virtual machines with this image, all 100 virtual machines will automatically become web server, and it will have this particular software. Okay, that is how you can create images, you can create galleries, and then use images. Okay, so yeah, we have finished a VM image, how to create a VM image, how to use that. Now let us see something called as cloud init. Now let me go back to my portal here. If you go to virtual machines, let me select this virtual machine. Okay, actually a cloud init is basically when you're creating a new virtual machine. If I want to run some YAML script without using any custom extensions, we can use cloud init. Let me show you there. And this is basically for Linux based OS operating systems. Let me try to create a virtual machine here. Let me select the resource group. I'll say demo for cloud init feature. All right, let me choose here any of the Linux based operating system. Choose username. All right, I'm giving my desired password. It's almost same options. Okay, I will choose the HDB ports. Okay, next go to disks, leave it defaults, networking, management, monitoring. There is nothing much we need to do. Let's go to advanced. Now we saw in the previous sessions, we can select a extension to install. Now without that, okay, we can use custom data here. Okay, in this custom data, we can enter the cloud init script by using YAML. Now let's say I want to simply give a YAML. Okay, let me open my Visual Studio Code and create a new package here. Let me create a new file. Okay, select folder. Say don't save. Okay, let's say I will create a script here. The script is called as YAML. YAML is called as yet another markup language. I'll say demo.yml extension. Okay, you see that means we can write the code in YAML now. So let's say very simple. I'll give it as package underscore upgrade true. Okay, it's very simple language. Next, what packages you want to install? Okay, I want to install, let's say, nginx hyphen name of the package. All right, that's it. This is simple YAML code. Let me copy this and put this in the custom data here. Okay, if you want to, let me add one more line also here, cloud hyphen config, and then select option review and create. So this is a cloud init script that what we have developed there. Now let's select the option create. This will take about a minute. Okay, let's wait for another 1 minute. Now, if you see here, the resource is created. Let me go to this resource and copy the public IP address. And I'm putting this IP address in the web browser. Now, if you see, the welcome to Nginx file is opened automatically. So this is also one way by using cloud init, which is custom data, where we can give a YAML code so that that code can be executed while the server is coming up. Okay, that is what the option cloud init is. Now we understood what is a VM image. We understood what is cloud init. Now next, let us understand something called as a run command. Okay. Now if I go into the virtual machines, you see there's an option called as run command here. Okay, but let me create a new virtual machine and use this command. Select virtual machines, create a new Azure virtual machine. Okay, I'll say demo for run. Select password. All right, and then confirm the password. All right, and then open the HTTP and HTTPS ports, review and create. Okay, the virtual machine is creating. You see, running final validation. Let me create this. This will take about 10 seconds for it to be created. Now, this virtual machine is created. Now, let me go to this resource. Now, what if I want to run any commands? I need to log into the server, right? But here we have an option. Now, this server, I did not make this into any web server, etc. I'm copying this IP address. If you see, there is no page coming up, right? Now, every time what we did, we logged into the server, we ran some commands, made that into web server, we downloaded some, etc. etc. We ran some commands, and then that web server software has been logged. But now I don't want to log into the server, still I want to run the commands. How we can do that? By using this option called as run command, which is there under operations. Okay, let me go to run command. Now there are two options here. It is asking, do you want to run a shell script? Yes, I'll say I want to run a shell script. Okay, we can give the syntax here. Let's say I want this to run these three syntaxes so that Nginx web server will be up. All right, let me copy and paste here. Hello, and then run. We'll be able to see the output here only. It is saying script execution is in progress. Let's wait for a few more seconds. If you see here, it has ran all these things. Okay, and it is succeeded. Script execution is complete. All right, now let me close this. Go to the overview, copy this public IP address here, and put that IP address in a browser. You see, now this one previously we have copied, but there was no page. Right now, let me refresh this. You see, welcome to Nginx. That is how you can use a run command for operations. Now let's say if it is Windows, you will get an option like, do you want to run a PowerShell script, or other options. If you want to run a PowerShell script, you can just run a PowerShell script. All right. Now you see there is another option here called as auto shutdown. Okay, if we can enable this, and we can select some time region, and if I you can also select a notification. Okay, if you give a email address, it will get come to an email address. As of now, let us select no, and we can select the time. So what happens? Uh, so when you give this option, right, what happens? So it will automatically shut down this instance at the given time. Okay, that is a shutdown feature. All right, let us go back to the agenda for this session. So we understood what is a VM image, how to create a VM image. We worked with cloud in it, and we also worked with run command. Now let us see another option called as a web app. Okay. Now web app, we can call this as a platform as a service on Azure. Okay. What is this? Simply we can call it as a platform as a service. What is the meaning of this? Now, till now, if at all we want to host any application, what did we do? We created a server, we installed some software, okay, and then installed our app. Okay, now here what happens is that Azure will take care of creating the server and installing the required software for that particular application. All that we need to do is that give our application code. Rest everything is taken care by Azure. So that service on Azure is called as web app. And before we create web app, we need to create one more thing, because web app is part of a service called as app service. Okay, web app is a part of a service called as app service. So first of all, we need to create app service. So as soon as I type in app, you see there is something called as app service that is coming in. Okay, very easy. Select option called as create app service. Okay, I will choose my default resource group. Okay, and what's your web app name? Let's say my web app name is level up. Okay, it is already taken. I'll say level up new. Okay, and what type of website do you want to publish? A code? Do you want to publish a Docker container or static web app? What do you want to do? If it is static web app, okay, it will say create. Select option. Okay, here we have to give a web app details. Let's say new web app. Okay, why you are creating this? It is asking where is your code. Let's say other, review and create. So for a static website, we need to give a website code, right? We can connect our GitHub. Select option create. I'm just showing you how to create this one, but we'll actually go ahead and create other options. Now if you see it is created, let's go to the resource and you see we got a URL. Let's simply copy paste the URL here. You see Azure static web app is live. Now if we given the GitHub account, it will automatically take the code from the GitHub account and then our website would be live. Okay, let me also show that. Let's go to home, go to app services, create an app service, same resource group, new web app, say static, it's already taken 1 2 3. Okay, let's say okay, there's also taken 1 2 3 4. It should be unique. Okay, global unique name. Okay, I'll say static web app create. So option okay. Web app name my demo web app. Okay, now I'll say I want to connect my GitHub. Okay, even before that, let me go to GitHub, sign in. Okay, this is my GitHub account. Select option sign in. Okay, what I'll do, I'll create a new repository. I'll say web app. Okay, it is available. I'm leaving it for public. Select option create repository. Okay, now I'll select option upload an existing file. I'll upload the file from my local desktop. Let's say go here, demo HTML, open. Okay, I'll say demo file upload. Website file, commit changes. That's a commit message. All right, now I have this file here. Now what I'll do here, I will give my GitHub repository because I have code in the GitHub repository now. Select option sign in GitHub. Okay, I'll say authorize public or private. Okay, I'll say authorize Azure Web App Service to use my GitHub. All right, it is asking organization. This is the organization and the repository. GitHub Web App is the repository that I created. Let us see what is a branch. It is on the main branch. Okay, select option main branch. Enter a value to create GitHub action. So I don't want that. That's okay. Select review and create. Okay, select option create. Now my web page will automatically display. There is no need for us to create any server, upload any HTML file, because I already uploaded to GitHub. So if I make changes in the GitHub, it will be displayed on my website. I mean, the changes would be visible on my website. Now you see, I got a very good URL here. Copy this URL, put that on the browser. Okay, now if you see, the page is up, but it's saying check the deployment status in the GitHub Actions tab in your repository. Okay, so that means we need to go here. Okay, I'm adding a workflow. Comment on this comment. Done. Now let's see. Now, basically, that is how you can bring your website live. So you have to go inside your GitHub and add GitHub Actions. Then it will be up. Okay, let me go here. Okay, this is there. Workflows is there. Okay, this is created. So this is automatically creating a YAML file out of it. So now it should come. So it might take around 1-2 minutes time for this to come up live. Okay. So but that is how you create a web app and host a website. Now let us see the other options. Now let me go here. Go to app services again. Select option create a app service. All right. I'll use the same resource group. Web app name new demo web app. Okay. Web app 4. So I'll say I have a code this time. Okay, I'm going to give a code to this particular web app, and then we can choose this code is developed in which language. Okay, you see, it could be .NET, ASP.NET, it can be in Go language, Java, Node, PHP, Python, Ruby. These are the supported languages. Let's say I'm choosing Python as of now. The code language is Python. Okay, you can choose which version of Python as well. Okay, and based on your code, your operating system which has to work underline will also be decided. Now let's say I'm choosing .NET. You'll see by default Windows is coming. Okay. If I choose Java, you see Linux is coming up. So based on what is the language that you have chosen, you'll be able to see the operating system. Let's say I want to use Python. We can choose any version of Python. Okay, and the region and the plan, zone redundancy, enabled or disabled. And you see there's something called as deployment slots here. Okay. Now let's say my code is there in GitHub account because I have already integrated, it is showing my GitHub account. If I want to enable CI/CD for this, select option enable. Okay. And select the what is the organization name, what is the repository name, what is the branch. But I don't have any Python code there. We can see the preview file here. If I see the preview file here, you see all these things are there in that particular file. Okay, can select option close. So basically it has it has created some test uh, or test artifact. Okay, test application. Okay, it has created test application. Select option, close, review and create. So these are basically called as deployment slots. Okay, so as soon as we update the code in the GitHub repository, it will continuously, it will do changes to our application which is there in production. Okay, now you see the deployment is in progress. Now if you see this resource is created, let us select this option called as go to resource. Now you see there's a domain name that has come up. Okay, let us copy that and put that in the browser. Go here and enter. Now you see your web app is running and waiting for your content. So basically that means if you give a Python code now, the application will be up and running. Okay, if you want some quick start, you can click on this quick start. Let's say Python. Okay, we can clone this repository. Okay, you can follow this guide. So basically, then a web application like this, it will come up. It will say welcome to Azure. Tell your name. Okay, this what it will come up. All right, so you guys can run this and check. That is what is a web app is all about. Okay, so basically it is a platform kind of a service where you can host your applications without even creating a server. All right, that is how you can create a web app by using a app service plan from Azure. And now let's say you want to deploy the code later. You can select deployment center. Okay, now you go into this app services. You will have an option called as deployment center here. Here you can see all the options. Like if you have your website on your code on your FTP server, you can see the FTP credentials for you guys to log into that FTPS server. If you want to check the logs, if you want to check the settings. So the settings, it is like the GitHub account if you want to change that. Okay, if you want to change the branch, provider, etc. All these things you can check in the settings. All right. So basically, you're creating a web app. The website code will be given by your Java developers or Python developers, etc. You need to make sure that you can take this website live. All right. So let us see what we looked into this session. In this particular session, we understood about a VM image. We understood about cloud init command. We understood about run command, and we understood about web app and how to create a web app. All right, that's all for this session. You guys have a good time. Take care.